Hello all, this is Carla again with another TV review for you, and this time I'm going to be talking about the season 3 premiere of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. titled Laws of Nature, and I hope that you will cut me a little slack because I think I'm gonna be very fangirly in this review. I loved this episode. I thought it was a great season starter, and after the way season 2 ended, I thought it was a really strong beginning. I wasn't terribly happy with a lot of the decisions season 2 made, and for a long time it felt like it was lagging, but I think the season finale, which was a two-parter, actually did end well. So I wanted to see what they would do in this new season because it felt like season 2 was very self-contained in a way. Like it all ended pretty neatly, and I was very curious as to what they were going to do in this season. What Sky, or I guess now she's Daisy, about what role she was going to start taking, if she was going to have her own team. How is S.H.I.E.L.D. going to deal with the whole idea that you have Inhumans, which you shouldn't really index because that's probably not a good idea, and you want to let them live on their own and be normal people, except that you also want to help them control their power so that nobody gets hurt, and if one of them is using them for the wrong reasons and using them for evil reasons, then you want to also be able to take them down to stop them from hurting people. So they have that kind of ambiguity, and I really wanted to see if they actually reached that conclusion, because in season 2, while you never really thought that S.H.I.E.L.D. were the bad guys, at least not Coulson's S.H.I.E.L.D., at the same time, some of the arguments that Zhejing and the Inhumans had were also kind of very poignant, in the sense that you could see why they would be afraid. They didn't necessarily go about it the best way, because Zhejing went a little insane, I guess, but the arguments themselves were good, and I like that they're kind of continuing on with that with Lincoln, because obviously we're not going to see very many of the people that were left behind in the Inhumans little retreat place. I guess it was somewhere in China, I'm not sure. But there were more people. It wasn't just Sky's little group, there were more people there. And it's kind of nice to see Lincoln's reaction, that he doesn't want to be involved with S.H.I.E.L.D. or with Inhumans, or he just wants to live his life. I really like that, so I was looking forward to seeing what they would do with them, and what Sky or Daisy, what position she would take, and I thought this was a very strong beginning. And just seeing them continue the plot lines, because the way season 2 ended, the whole Simmons thing, it was very abrupt. Like, it came out of nowhere. Everything got wrapped up in a nice little bow, and then they needed a cliffhanger, so they added the Simmons thing. That's what it felt like to me. So I figured that season 3 would actually focus a lot on Simmons, and I see that they are, but the way they're doing it, I really love it. This makes up, Fitz's reaction makes up for the abruptness of the thing. Seriously, okay, I am the biggest Fitzsimmons fangirl. I'm not even ashamed of it. I love them. I want them to be together, but I want it to be done right. And you just cannot, Fitz is my favorite character of the show. So I just seeing him in this episode, when he was so troubled last season and so unsure of himself, and every time you just wanted to see him, every time you just every time you saw him, you wanted to like give him a hug, and that trend continues in this season, but for completely different reasons, and I love those reasons. I loved Fitz. I don't know, it was kind of a strange mixture of like arousal and mother-like feelings and wanting to protect him, because you know at the beginning of the thing, you see him and he's like freaking James Bond. I mean, this is the guy who could barely talk last season, and now he's like flying to Morocco and going face to face with like arms dealers, just in order to get an answer that maybe could bring Gemma back. But this is a completely different Fitz. This is a Fitz we've never really seen. He was so confident. I mean, obviously you could still see Fitz in there. He's not like this uber confident guy, but he was going to do what he needed to do. And I thought, oh my god, it was so great to see him like that. And then when he gets the artifact back and he realizes that it's not what he was looking for, he's so devastated that you just can't help but be devastated for him. I mean, his last scene, dear god, I think that's the best we've seen of Fitz since season 1, probably. He is so good. And I wanted to hug him so bad. Like, I just want to, like, embrace him and protect him from all the hurt in the world. He is so... Oh god, I really love what I saw in Fitz. Both sides of him in this episode. He was so great. And of course the fangirl in me I squealed. I'm sorry, I regret nothing really, but I squealed when the dealer dude asked him if you're willing to go to these lengths for a girl, you must really love her. And he's like, yeah, and I screamed. I hugged my pillow. I know that they probably won't get together anytime soon, but I just want them to be together, and I love rooting for them. Like, even through the whole season 2 mess, when, you know, they were kind of avoiding each other and avoiding the topic, and I just want them to actually be together. I want them to get together, and I want him to get Simmons back. I mean, he loves her so much. It's so adorable. It's so... I just love them, and I think that Gemma was starting to realize that, and of course that's when the cliffhanger happened, so... I don't know. I mean, she's in this weird blue world, which I'm going to guess is related to the Kree, because everything that is blue in this show is somehow related to the Kree. So, I mean, I guess they're not gonna bring her back anytime soon, but I don't know how much we're gonna get of her in that weird Kree world. Because I think if they start going too deeply into the other planets thing, it might take away from things. Like, it's okay if we have the Kree come back to Earth, because we're still in an Earth environment, but it's like going to other planets. I think that's more like what the movies would be involved in. Like, we've seen her, we know she's in another planet, but I don't think we're gonna see her all that often. So I guess we'll see, but I don't think we're gonna see much of her until she's rescued, because she will be rescued, let's face it. She's gonna come back at some point, so we'll see. As far as the other plot lines go, and speaking of shipping, I was never that big a shipper of like Bobby and Hunter. I liked them. It took me a while to warm up to them, to both of them really. Like, Hunter, I started warming up to him like halfway through the season, and then Bobby took me a while longer, and by the end she was so badass that I just couldn't help but like her. But I never really shipped them. I mean, I thought their back end thing, sleep together, not sleep together thing, was kind of funny, but I didn't have a necessity to see them together, not really, until the last episode of the season, when she took that bullet for him and he was so worried. I'm like, okay, I'm on board this ship. I admit it. I'm totally on board. So this time, I'm not entirely sure what it is. Like, their conversations tend to be very stilted for me. They're always like, yeah, because, and she's like, yeah, because, and it's great that they know, but I don't know. So a lot of the time, I just don't understand what their arguments are about, but I like just seeing them argue, and I like seeing them smile and at each other and like just being together. So I'm gathering from their conversation at the locker room that they are together of sorts. I didn't really get the whole what the rings thing was. She wanted a keepsake in case he died looking for Ward, I guess. I didn't understand what the whole talk of a wedding was, but I like that. I like that they're apparently together, even though they weren't really speaking to each other a lot through this episode. But I guess we'll see how it goes. I hope Bobby gets back into active duty soon because she's kick-ass, and I mean, I just want to see her kick butt. That's all I want. She's great. She's awesome. But I'm glad to see that Hunter is actually hunting down. See what I did there? He's hunting down Ward, and hopefully he'll get somewhere because I think he might not be the best fighter, but he's got street smarts, and I think that might be what gives him the edge in finding Ward, maybe, perhaps. As far as Coulson goes, I wasn't expecting him to make a big deal about his hand. I thought it was heartbreaking when he spoke to Fitz about it. He said, I've been through 3 hands and I still haven't found one that feels right. But, and then when he said, yeah, and then May left and never came back and I lost my right hand, I'm like, oh my god, that's the best way you could ever put it. So, I wasn't expecting him to make a big fuss about his hand. But I don't know, I like that he's still kind of like hovering around Sky, but not necessarily like observing her too closely. Like, he trusts her and he trusts her instincts, so I thought that was pretty good. About Sky, I really like Sky. She's grown immensely since the first episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. ever. And I like what she's become because she knows how important S.H.I.E.L.D. is, but at the same time she wants to make sure that all the people, all the Inhumans they encounter, that they're actually helping them. So I think she's very important. She's key just in that role, and I think she's doing a great job. I like Joey. I'm not sure how he's going to fit in, if he's going to be like in Sky's team or whatever, but I like him. He's cool. I like that he's gay, because I don't think we've had a gay person on this show before, and again, representation, always important. Also not sure about Mac, because it felt to me like, I mean, I've never really grown. He hasn't grown on me like Bobby and Hunter have. He was always just like there, in my mind, but not really like, he wasn't really outstanding or anything. And it seemed to me like Coulson gave him a different job in the season finale, and then all of a sudden he's in Sky's team, and I'm like, are you sure you're like, is he actually doing his job, or did they move him around? I'm not sure. But again, I like that he's like no nonsense. So when Sky is trying too hard to be nice to people, he can be the blunt one, and that's cool. Not sure if I buy into the whole partners thing yet. Maybe in the future if he sticks around, because I think Lincoln is going to like come back and maybe take a more active approach to this whole Inhumans side team type thing. I've always liked Lincoln. I mean, part of it is I love the actor, I'm not gonna lie, but I liked Lincoln as a character, and I think he felt as betrayed almost as much as Sky did come the events of the season finale. So I like that he's trying to get away with it, but I do think they'll convince him to come back eventually. And I'm glad for it because, again, I love the actor. I would love to see him in every episode. So, and I believe he's been made a regular, so I'm fairly confident that he's going to join S.H.I.E.L.D. in some capacity. I don't think he'll become an agent, but he could kind of sort of be like a medical personnel now that Gemma is MIA, and he could also be kind of like a transition therapist of sorts when it comes to Inhumans. The other big surprises of the episode were, of course, the bad guys, which is these Lash, first of all, who looked really impressive, honestly. I mean, he was bathed in shadow, so of course I couldn't really get a good look at him. But I liked his introduction. I liked how destructive he seemed, but then at the same time it seemed like he was very easily defeated. I mean, I know he wasn't defeated, but someone as destructive as him just doesn't seem like he should have run away. In a sense, like he should have stayed and fought. But I guess they don't want to introduce him that that early. I guess that they're waiting for him to make the actual introduction later on. So I guess I can't complain about that. We'll see what they do with him in future episodes. And then there was also this Rosalind woman who apparently was hired by the president himself to like round up these Inhumans in a way that sees them as a threat, which is kind of in direct opposition to what S.H.I.E.L.D. or under Coulson's orders is trying to do. I like her. I'm not entirely sure what she's going to be, but I like her. She got a hand up on Coulson when they met her on the train. I thought that was really cool. And she seems great. I mean, she's obviously not a fighter. She's more of a thinker and a strategist, but she seems great. And she's played by Constance Zimmer, whom I love because she's great. She's a fantastic actress, and she should be way bigger in Hollywood than she is, I think, because she's a great actress. And she's a great character actress, she's a great supporting actress, and I really look forward to seeing what they do with her character, especially because Rosalind reminded me at least of something that I hadn't really thought about in a while, because we're so involved with S.H.I.E.L.D. in the show that I tend to forget that S.H.I.E.L.D. is not supposed to exist at this point. Like, after the Hydra reveal, S.H.I.E.L.D. just disappeared for the most part, and nobody's supposed to know that Coulson's alive, save for like Fury and Maria Hill. Nobody's supposed to know that he's alive, so everything he does, everything S.H.I.E.L.D. does, is underground, basically. And at this point, while they know that the Inhumans aren't a threat necessarily, that they can be helped, so that they are good for society instead, the government itself doesn't know any of this. Like, they don't even know what Inhumans are. They just know that they have people causing mayhem and chaos everywhere they go. And it's not like Coulson can just go up to the president and be like, yo, I'm alive, and I'm going to solve this for you guys. No, he can't. He's not supposed to tell anyone he's alive. Or that S.H.I.E.L.D. is still working underground, which makes me wonder how they get their budget, because let's face it, the government is not giving them money. But that's the thing, and when the government you're supposed to be serving has such a different idea of what you should do than you do, that's a big issue. So I wonder if this is going to be the season when S.H.I.E.L.D. actually pops back up into the mainstream consciousness as an organization that still exists. So, I don't know, I guess we'll see down the road, because basically they're not facing an external threat anymore, they're facing the government. And with a very shrewd adversary, as Rosalind seems to be. She also has flawless fashion sense, by the way. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I thought it was a pretty strong season premiere, and I don't know. For so long last season, S.H.I.E.L.D. just seemed to kind of be coasting, and I like that this started with a punch, sorts. Hopefully, if they can keep it up in the next few episodes and don't veer into too much filler again, hopefully that will work out for them. I wonder what they're planning, because Captain America Civil War is going to come out around the time the season is supposed to end. So I would hope we don't veer up into a Captain America the Winter Soldier type of situation where they have to start going off slow until they hit the point where they're supposed to be affected by the movie. I hope it's not like that. There were so many mentions of Sokovia in these past S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes that they can just throw in a mention or two, and it doesn't need to affect the S.H.I.E.L.D. timeline too much, but you never know. So I am hoping that they're gonna keep up a decent pace throughout, and not just keep us lagging in the hopes that when the movie comes out, then things will happen, because by then it'll be too late. But if this episode is any indication, I think they're off to a great start. I really like this episode. I like where they seem to be going. The fact that Inhumans can just be everywhere now, in a sense. They're not all together in a little community. They're out there, and most likely have no control over their powers. That is a very interesting dilemma, because it's very, very much like X-Men in a sense. And since Marvel doesn't own the rights to X-Men, it's great. I love X-Men. It's my favorite Marvel Comics property. So every time they can make their Marvel cinematic and TV properties come closer to X-Men, I'm all up for that. So yeah. Okay, this has gone on long enough. I just really like the episode, so I've been gushing about it for 23 minutes by now. So I'm just gonna shut up now and just say, really good episode, nice start. I'm actually more excited about this season now than I thought I would be when I saw the previews and stuff. So it was a good episode. I'm looking forward to seeing where they take this, and that's it for now. So once again, if you guys want to see more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reviews, just go to our website at thegeekypub.com. We also have reviews for other TV shows, as well as books, movies, games, you name it, we have it. So be sure to visit, and I will see you guys in my next review. Bye!